episode 8 of the Sports Entertainment Show, starring me, Jason Miller, and check this out. Summerslam was probably the best in-ring pay-per-view I've ever seen. That said, I had all kinds of issues with storylines and where they're going with things and the way things were done, and that's what we'll talk about. I don't like the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, absolutely loved SummerSlam. They just are gushing over how great it was. And like I said, it was very good, but there's a lot of issues, and I don't think people are looking at the big picture. We'll indulge into this now. First, the kickoff show was RVD and Cesaro. I hate seeing Cesaro lose, and I don't understand why RVD is winning. I guess they just wanted to get the crowd in a frenzy. And actually, if you look at the actual card, so few faces won. I guess that was another reason why they had RVD, the hometown LA boy, win. Well, hometown California boy, but you know what I mean. And Cesaro, I hope they're doing something with him. And, this goes into Raw, so we'll talk about that later on. Ziggler over Miz. Okay, that was a good match. I was very surprised Ziggler won that match. I really thought that the Miz heel character was catching some speed steam, and they were doing well with that. Again, great in-ring, above-average match. I'm glad to see Ziggler actually get the title. Let's just hope they make it mean something. And it's too short to say, where that's going. Paige over AJ Lee was another surprise to me. I didn't think there was a chance that was happening. The match was very well wrestled, although it was very short, 4 minutes and 22 seconds, and I'm sure that was just to try to let the other Divas match later on get most of the headlines. Rusev and Swagger, this one doesn't make sense to me, and I guess, again, obviously I've already seen the Raw the next night, which we'll get into. I think this had a lot to do with why Swagger lost here. But it seemed like that would have been the easy one with so many heels winning. Why not let Swagger get his day, get his moment there? Because he really hasn't had one. And it seems like if you had big plans for Rusev, which, again, we'll get into, I think Swagger could have got the victory there. That's what I should have done. Again, but the match was great, and that's what I thought both of those guys could do. Rusev does a great job of selling for a big guy. I think I do have high hopes for Rusev. Rollins and Ambrose obviously stole the show, and honestly, I'm not surprised it stole the show. I'm actually surprised it was even better than I thought it would be with my high expectations. Of course, that was the best lumberjack match there ever was, and I don't think that's in debate. I think everybody's agreement on that because there's not that many lumberjack matches. But, I mean, the crazy spots, everybody played their role well, especially the lumberjacks. All the lumberjacks did a really good job. It's the hottest rivalry in WWE, and it's not close. I mean, it's really not close. And it was nice to see, the next night they actually get the main event on Raw. Again, we'll talk about that later. Jericho over Wyatt. Good wrestling, all around. I mean, this rivalry is becoming stale quick to me, though. And again, we'll get into that at Raw. But the match itself was very well wrestled. Jericho won, Wyatt won, which obviously should be what happens there. But I guess they were setting up the best out of three. And then we get into where I have all kinds of issues. Stephanie over Brie. This just was not... I was surprised how comfortable and how good Stephanie was in the ring. But it was very lopsided. I mean, really, that whole match, was all Stephanie. It was all Stephanie. And the logistics of having Nikki turn on Brie. And I know a lot of the, internet smarky people are saying, oh, well, we saw this coming. You can see this coming from a mile away. The sister-on-sister turn. But it doesn't make sense. I mean, Stephanie just let Nikki get beat up by handicap diva matches all over the place. And over the last, 2 months or so. Why now? Why would she want to turn now? And again, we'll get into her explanation at Raw, which wasn't sufficient. But again, Steph is better than 3/4 of the Divas roster, and that's not good. They need to do better. They need to do better with the women. Reigns over Orton. This one actually surprised me on how good it was. Orton had 2 nice spots with the power slam off from the sphere and the the RKO off the top rope stuff. That good stuff. I mean, the match was much better than I thought, and Reigns should really be lucky that he's got Orton to make him look so good there, because that definitely did exceed my expectations. And then Lesnar over Cena, obviously, I mean, we all knew it was going to happen, but the issue that I have is that he looks so dominant in that match. Who in the world is going to beat him? And I know that you're saying, well, we have all kinds of time to build up a character and make him look like the big money guy who comes over Lesnar. But nothing looks believable now, as Lesnar just looks like this monster that is unstoppable. And that's the issue that I have. And they've already announced, I don't think they've said it on TV. I don't know if they said it on the WWE app or what, but I know it already, that the main event of Night of Champions is the rematch of Cena and Lesnar. Are you excited to see that again? How are they going to make this that Cena has a chance? Why is Cena going to do so much better in this match? The best part of that match, actually, was, 10 seconds in when Lesnar hit his F5. That was, whoa, what's going on? Then you kind of were on, the edge of the seat, because now anything can happen. That was the best part of the match. I mean, I have no problem with him going over so strong, but the storyline doesn't suffice it there. It should have been a tight match, especially if they were going to keep the rivalry going, which they obviously are. And I don't know who is next in line. And I know people are saying Reigns, but boy, you're not listening to the crowd, are you? You're not listening to the crowd, because there was one match out of all of these matches that I believe the fans were the most quiet for, and it was Reigns and Orton. And if you think Reigns is that guy, then you're not paying attention to the crowd. You are not paying attention to the crowd. So, as I, access into Raw slowly here, we're going to go into the next night, okay? So, right away, you've got the Stephanie going out, and, the fake tease of Bryant was believable. I mean, once the music hit, I knew what was happening, but it was funny. It was okay. I have no problem with that. Problem that I have is that Nikki comes out and says, well, do you think this was a race? You think you're so special because you got married first and you're going to have kids first and blah, 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 blah? Well, that's great. And you're not you can't pick and choose what storylines you want to use, WWE, because obviously that's total diva stuff. Cena talking to Nikki saying how she doesn't want to, he is not ready to have kids and get married and all that jazz. Is it even going to be talked about? Of course it won't. Of course it won't, because they're not going to talk about Cena doing anything bad. So why even discuss that? And that's the only thing that I could get out of that, other than, everybody was like, oh, Nikki, or oh, Brie, and Nikki wasn't getting any, getting any attention growing up. That was, I guess, the storyline that they were going with. But again, if that were the case, she would have turned on her months ago. The timing with this was all messed up. I just don't like the storyline at all. And do you really think, whether it be at Night of Champions, and I hope it is at Night of Champions so they get this out of here, because I don't even want to see it, the sister-on-sister stuff, you think the crowd's going to care? Because they don't. They just don't. That's what bothers me the most about it. There's so much talent that goes to waste. Don't waste your time on the girls who aren't that talented. I don't care what they look like. But, I mean, let's look at, the first Divas match of Raw. Natalya over Paige. And what did they do? They've got 3 girls there. You've got Natalya, Paige, and AJ Lee, who can all really, really go. They're all great female wrestlers. And what happens? They make Paige look like an absolute idiot. So stupid that she just sits around and watches AJ Lee skip around the ring and then gets rolled up. And why? If you're gonna have Natalya win, let her win legit. Let her win legit. I have no idea why she's held down. I guess, there's just this Hart family thing that they just can't deal with, at WWE. Vince just can't get over the Hart family. I don't know, because Natalya is one of the best wrestlers they have, and she's always underutilized. Why not let her win a real match? I mean, again, they could still have AJ Lee, sort of interfere some way or make it so that it's a cheaper win. But I mean, why have a match that lasts a minute and 20 seconds and then do it that way? It doesn't make sense. And it just goes to show you what WWE thinks about the women. It makes them think that they're stupid. It makes them think that they're not good wrestlers, that they don't get the TV time that they should. And that's just unacceptable. They should be able to do better with the talent that they have. That's my female diva rant. Moving on. The first match you had was Harper and Rowan and Mark Henry and Show. And Big Show and Mark Henry as a power face team, I have no issues with. But I have issues that they beat Harper and Rowan. And I have issues that, of course, Mark Henry isn't that tag team's they've got no hopes for Henry and Show, and you'll see why later on. Why did they even bother? Why did they bother with that match and have that outcome? Is what they could have had something like a double count out or something. You don't have to have a result for every match, but why have Henry and Show go over there? Why? It doesn't make sense. And then you've got the Heyman promo, which of course was gold, as is every Heyman promo. But it's to the point now, do you really need to make Brock Lesnar look any more badass than he already does? Because what could he do? Who can possibly come close to him right now? The best part of that promo was Lesnar actually joking around with Heyman, actually showing a little bit of personality, which I like. He joked and told him to say his name again, and was mouthing, with the words that Heyman was saying. I like that Lesnar. That Lesnar was fun to watch. I hope I do see more of that Lesnar. And Lesnar actually looked like he was having fun for once, as opposed to just stoic stare into the camera. He actually looked like he was having fun, and I like that. The Intercontinental rematch, which I'm sort of torn on, because I like the idea that there was a count out so that they're continuing the feud. So I guess that's what you're going to get at Night of Champions, I would assume. But I just wish they'd make these titles look stronger. And it just seems like as soon as someone wins a secondary title, they lose a match. Ever notice that? If you need the Intercontinental match or the Intercontinental belt and the United States strap to look stronger, have them win more matches, please. And then you've got the Jericho and Wyatt promos, which they're just swimming in place right now. Like I said earlier, I'm bored with this. I'm ready for it to end. And I know it's going to right away. I assume Wyatt will get over, and that'll be the end of Jericho. We're not going to see him for a long time. So, and I'm okay with that. We need something bigger and better for Wyatt. Then you had the obligatory 6-man tag was Reigns, Sheamus, and RVD, and Ryback, Axel, and Orton. And again, the best part of this match was actually watching Orton ham it up with the crowd once the crowd started doing the feed me more and yelling and hollering and hooting to try to get Ryback into the match, and then Orton playing to the crowd. That was funny. And here again, WWE, right now, where you're at, why not have Ryback turn face and go back to the heel face? And again, this isn't for me. I'm just trying to do this for the crowd. I'm looking at what would the WWE crowd like, because I can't stand anything more than a big monster, whether it be a heel or a face, who cannot go that much in the ring. Just unexciting to watch. Who also is terrible promo work, because his promo work's not good. But I know what you, the WWE fan, wants to see, and you want to see that, and that's fine. You can so make them happy. Turn him face. Why? Well, why keep Ryback Axel together? It's not like Curtis Axel has any hope. Poor guy can go in the ring, but he just has no charisma whatsoever. Okay, and then you've got the Usos and Goldust Stardust. And you know me, I love Goldust. I love the Goldust Stardust thing. But you had two face teams and the crowd wasn't really sure who to cheer for. And I assume what they're doing is that they're going to have all of these tag teams, well, I'm not sure about Henry and Show. That's why, we'll talk about that. But, probably Harper and Rowan probably have like a 4-team tag team match at Night of Champions, which isn't a bad idea. Get everybody on the card and everybody on the show, and the winner gets the belts. I'd be okay with that. I guess that's where they were going with it, but I don't know, they could have eased into it a little bit more. I mean, just to throw two face teams out there and everybody's sort of confused is not the greatest. It's not good strategy there. And then of course you had the Rusev Henry thing, and it was okay to watch Henry come out and do this. I have no problem with that. It's just that it kind of goes back to why is Mark Henry tagging with the show and going over Harper and Rowan? If they're gonna have Henry in a singles program with Rusev, that's fine. Then there should be no Henry and Show tag team winning matches. They can be together, they can be in a match, but they shouldn't win the match. That's the booking that I don't understand that goes on sometimes. But see, and that's kind of why I go back to the Swagger situation, because I know why they had Swagger lose, because they're going to start a program with Swagger and Bo Dallas. And I really like Bo Dallas, and I guess that's good, but why have Rusev go over on Swagger if his next opponent is going to be Mark Henry? Because it's a parallel move. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't consider Swagger or Mark Henry. It's not like you're going up to Mark Henry. You're not. It's the same thing. And to me, it doesn't make booking sense to have Mark Henry go over Rusev now. If you're building up Rusev to something bigger and better, then why is he going to beat Mark Henry? Or why is Mark Henry going to beat Rusev? It doesn't make sense. So, I mean, it should be a fun match it'll be a fun little rivalry to watch, Rusev and Mark Henry go at each other. But it's the way they're doing things is bothering me right now. So, then obviously the best part of Raw, which shouldn't surprise anybody, and it has nothing to do with my bias towards Ambrose, because it is. It's the most exciting. It's what everybody cares about. It's the stuff the crowd is jumping up in for. It's Rollins and Ambrose in there. Well, the fans got to vote, and seriously, the three of you guys that actually watch these videos, comment here at the bottom of the video and tell me what the difference is between a no holds barred and a no disqualification, because you had to vote no holds barred, no disqualification, and falls count anywhere. Well, my wrestling knowledge, no holds barred means that all holds are okay and there's no disqualification, and then no disqualification means you cannot be disqualified. It's the same thing. So obviously what the WWE Universe wanted the WWE writers wanted you to vote for was the, false count anywhere. And that's what they got. But it was kind of a dumb vote process. But anyway, the actual match, I mean, again, the spot where on the chairs, the power bomb on the chairs was really well done. The table was great. Just everything about it is great. I mean, and the funniest line, this was earlier in the show, I forgot to talk about it, was when Ambrose did the ALS, it's for charity over top of Rollins. That's hilarious. And you can be funny without being stupid, corny like John Cena is at times. You know what I mean? That's what makes Ambrose so cool. And here is the danger zone right now, because you've had that match and you saw the way it ended with, Ambrose is out for a while now, because apparently I found out Ambrose is making a movie, which shocked me. I didn't know that, but I just found it out today. So Ambrose is going to be off TV for a little bit because he's making this movie. So who's your main event face? Is it Reigns? What's going to happen here? What in the world is happening over the next month? I guess that's why Cena's still around here. Cena's going to try to fill this void, but the crowd wants to cheer for somebody. And they're struggling because now you've got, I mean, seriously, if you're a kid, try to be a kid. Try to be a 10-year-old kid or whatever. You probably didn't like SummerSlam at all. All your guys lost. I mean, literally, Miz was the only face that won a match that mattered, because RVD doesn't matter to me. So there you go. So who do you cheer for if you're a little kid? John Cena? Well, okay, you're cheering for John Cena. Well, John Cena has no chance against Brock Lesnar. And you know that because your boy just got, pummeled at the last pay-per-view. So you're in a really dicey state right now, WWE, because you do not have things that make the crowd excited. And it's funny because all those internet snarky guys who said SummerSlam was so fantastic, a lot of them were saying, well, Raw was okay, but I really wish they would have pushed the program further. They can't push the program further. They can't, because there's nobody right now that's positioned to make a run at Lesnar, to progress the storyline, because it's not there. They are running in place at so many places. And I wanted to see something change. And in the mid-card, there was a couple of things. But it didn't get into the big picture of what's going to happen here over the next few months, going into the Rumble. That's why I'm really disappointed. Because I had such high hopes that it was going to be, you know, the booking would be so fresh that it would be good going through these couple months. But I'm nervous. I'm very, very nervous. And I hope I'm wrong. And like I said, SummerSlam was not a complete disappointment because there was a great in-ring work. And that's the biggest thing that I want to see. I want to see great matches. Well, I want to see great matches in a main event situation, even though everybody's so happy that Cena lost. They don't pay attention to that. It was just such a beatdown that it wasn't almost enjoyable to watch, because it's like, come on, you know, it's not competitive. So hopefully it gets better by next Raw, because right now Night of Champions doesn't excite me. I do not see anything. You take Ambrose out of it, good Lord. What do you got? What do you got? Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. Hopefully it gets better.